They've helped us with Bill 102. And I am more than proud to introduce this band, Minister Michael Kersey.
Well, hello. If I had to name all the chairs here, it would take me a while. So I just want to say to everyone who sits on a police service board somewhere in our great province, welcome. It's great to see so many friendly faces. I want to acknowledge also our Inspector General, our Deputy Inspector General Ryan Teschner, and Ken Weatherall. Ken and Ryan, thank you for being here. You've had a great array of chiefs and deputy chiefs come your way because I've seen them in the hall. I want to acknowledge the leaders of the associations who are here. I saw John Reed. I want to say hello to Bruce Chapman and so many faces. It's interesting. Is Wanda here, by the way, from Kawartha Lakes? Is Wanda here? I'll tell you a story. When I went to Kawartha Lakes in Lindsay to sit with the Kawartha Police Service Board, an older lady sat across from me, and I said, "Are you Wanda?" And she said, "How would you know my name?" And I said, "Because you are a provincial appointee, and I had been familiar with your file." And she brought us some very amazing local pastries. So Wanda's not here. So I wanted to talk to you about a few things today, but as there's Patrick wanted me to do. So as everybody knows, in our ministry, we have thousands of people. And for every event that I have to go to, there's a team of people. Ken, you know where they are in the ministry on Grosvenor. And they prepare these binders for you. Well, I'm not going to be reading any of it. Just don't tell them that. But I wanted to talk to you about a few things that I think are important today. And the first is, where are we with the CSPA, with the Community Safety Policing Act? Where are we with it? Because this impacts to the board and the work that everybody is doing. Well, my predecessor, our great Deputy Premier and Minister of Health, did a great job stewarding it as far as she could, especially during the pandemic, and it wasn't easy. So one of the first questions I asked almost a year ago, when I had the greatest honor of a lifetime to be asked by Premier Ford to serve in this position, I said, what do we need to do to move this thing forward? And just earlier this year, and with the great help, I want to acknowledge one of the finest Deputy Solicitor Generals Ontario's ever had, Mario Di Tommaso, and Karen Ellis. And Mario outlined for me an outline of what are the steps that we need to do to move it forward. We have been very active with many stakeholders, including your organization, including the PAO, including the OPPA, including the Toronto Police Association as well. We consider the relationships with the stakeholders to be absolutely priceless. When we have good relationships with the stakeholders, like Patrick, you just call him up. I've called Patrick up many times to get an understanding of what's important. So the long and the short answer is Bill 102, which hopefully will be approved by the legislature next week. It's going into third reading. I'll be the kickoff speaker. Will bring us that much closer. We're completing the drafting of the regulations. That is targeted to finish in August. And then what we have next are the dates of proclamation and enactment. And we hope that that will take place no later than 6 months after the final regulation is drafted. I'm very optimistic that this will happen. And for many of you that sit on the OPP boards and wonder what will happen with the clarity on the size and the composition, and this is Section 10, this will help bring clarity. And I know some of you would like definitive answers as soon as possible, and we will move. We will move to get you those answers. I speak to a lot of the MPPs, my colleagues in the legislature, who are asking, but what we have to do is cross the final hurdle with the CSPA. It's something that we've committed to do, and we're going to get the job done. So I'm very excited about that. I wanted to also talk about bail reform, because it's not acceptable to the Premier and to myself and to our government that we've lost so many people, so many officers. Officers, Greg Parashala from the OPP, and Eric Mueller and others. We have to make sure that the repeat and violent offenders are not on our streets. They belong in the prisons and the correctional facilities, and our government has led the way across Canada. Your membership should know, and Patrick, you know this, that it was Premier Ford's coalescing the premiers of other provinces and the territorial leaders to write a letter that they penned, and the Premier spoke about it this morning. I was there at the PAO's AGM. The Premier spoke about what used to take months, took days and hours. Everybody, every provincial and territorial leader was in agreement that the federal government had to step it up. And we were happy. We were happy that the federal government did table C-48. I went on the radio, I went on the TV. They asked me what I thought, and I said the truth. It's a step in the right direction. We have to make sure that, especially the provisions that are in C-48, the reverse onus gets approved. So I have a very collaborative relationship with my counterpart, Minister Mendicino, and Minister Lametti, the Minister of Justice, the Minister of Public Safety. We will continue to advocate for that. That is very important. I want to also comment and thank your organization, Patrick, on the leadership training, because you came to the ministry, to my predecessor, and you said you needed some money to put in place leadership training programs that will help boards all over Ontario have the preparation and have the skills that they need to move forward. This is going to be very important with the CSPA. And I want to thank Patrick, you and Lisa, for going forward and hiring the people that you need and developing the curriculum that you need to teach the board members. We are very, very supportive of that. And I believe the expectation of the board members are universal. And it doesn't matter if you were appointed by our province and myself and the Premier, or whether you were appointed by your municipality or you were appointed to be a public appointee. What matters is that we have to have the backs of the police services that we represent, the OPP detachments that our OPP boards will be responsible for. And this is important. It's not about, I say to people, it's not about if you like this party or that party, federally or provincially. It's about the commitment that we all have to keep our communities safe. Because when we have a safe community, we have absolutely everything. And I've said this at your last meeting. We have a place to raise our children, and we have a place to take them to the park, and we have a place to work and shop and pray. And this is fundamentally ours. Today, and I mentioned to Nando, I just came from Peel. We just gave badges out to 39 new cadets, now constables. This concept of our government acting to reduce the barriers at the Ontario Police College, and Ken, you were there. You were there in the ministry when you saw our enthusiasm for wanting to reduce the barriers, because that extra cohort, that extra 500 cadets that will graduate each year, that will go to your police service, municipal police services, and your OPP detachments will make a difference. I can tell you it has been very well received across our province. And I'm incredibly happy to be part of a team led by our Premier to do it. And never in my generation have I seen a Premier more committed to our public safety. I heard something incredible last week when we graduated 110 at OPP. And 17 are going to First Nations police services. It was a very large number. I want to tell you that my relationship with our First Nations police chiefs across the province is one of a father teaching a son. Just as I call many of your police chiefs on a regular basis. I know Deputy Chief Wilkie isn't here, but I'll call chiefs at 6 in the morning. I'll call them at 6:30 in the morning. And I'll call the First Nations chiefs. They have mentored me and educated me and explained to me the nuances of what is unique in their own communities. It's something that has helped me learn the role that I have and to treat it with dignity and respect. And the roles that you do to support your chiefs and your services and your OPP detachments is very important. I'll say this, and it goes back to why is all of this coming to fruition now? Because we don't feel as safe on our streets as we used to. We don't feel as safe on our transits as we used to. And when we look at the lawlessness, especially in the States, when we look at the fact that almost every single gun that's used in an illegal activity here in Ontario is coming over there. It's coming from right there. And it's totally unacceptable. It's unacceptable that every 48 minutes there's a car being stolen somewhere in Ontario. And that's why our government has doubled down, or as I like to say, has tripled down on the investments that we're making to get these violent and repeat offenders off our streets by providing the OPP and municipal services with over $112 million over 3 years to have the technology and the resources and the supports they need. So that to combat auto theft, and we had a great announcement in Halton that we're providing over $48 million to our municipal services to fight auto theft with technology and resources. I said, and I looked right in the camera, I said, I have a message. If you're thinking of stealing a car, if you're thinking of joining an auto ring that wants to steal our cars, I've got news for you. We're going to put you out of business. It's completely unacceptable. Our government is doubling down on these investments at the Ontario Police College with the OPP and municipal services, providing the grants to give you money, Patrick, for leadership training, because nothing is more important than our public safety. And our commitment to our public safety is absolute and constant. And our government will treat this with the highest priority. It is an honor to serve in this position, and I want to thank your organization for inviting me here. But I thought since I don't have to report to question period until 10:30 tomorrow, and not knowing what I'm in for, I thought maybe if you have a question for me, I'd be honored to answer it or try to provide an answer. So with Patrick's moderation, please come forward if you have a question or a comment or feedback that I can take back to our great Premier tomorrow. Patrick?
Okay, you guys have always said it. Let's be honest, let's be gentle. Anybody want to ask our Solicitor General anything about what we're trying to achieve in the next few years?
Well, that's okay. Patrick's got my number. Send me a text. And yeah, please, gentleman from Fort Francis, John. Yeah. Well, that's a great question. John's question is, what can we do to fill the empty seats, the provincial appointees on the Police Service Board? John, I want to thank you for the question. You know, we have a very rigorous and comprehensive review process. I have made it even harder at the ministry. And anybody that knows Danny Strong, in my next life I want to come back as Danny, because he's got a great job and he knows everybody who he brings forward and he's called them. But I can tell you, John, we want to move it forward as quick as we can. We want to get the best people. And as Peel knows, as Nando knows, we want to continue this process of renewal. We want to bring new voices to the table who can represent the best interests. I want to thank you for the question. Great to be here. Enjoy your evening.
Thank you.